I'm Alex and I'm interning at LTC Media. Today we'll be going to the streets of Lowell to ask people about eSports. What is eSports, you ask? Well, eSports is a form of competition where gamers who play video games or console games get paid to play competitively. People often say that eSports isn't considered a real sport, so let's go ask people what they think about eSports. So, gentlemen, do you have any idea what eSports are?
Yeah, esports is basically just when two teams versus each other.
Something that makes games.
Just like pretty much professional gaming.
Yes, I'm very familiar with esports and all its concepts. I'm actually quite a big fan.
Yes, I do. No.
So, what does esports mean to you?
Well, esports to me is sort of like a sport, right?
Mm-hmm.
But except it involves gaming.
Yeah, esports are competitions involving video games.
What does the word sport mean to you, like the traditional sport in a sense?
I want to say when two teams face each other. I felt like I say that. But, you know.
Well, he was gonna say two teams like face off between each other to see an ultimate winner.
I mean, I'm gonna have to go with this too because it's a lot of pandemonium when there's like two teams. Like you can't really focus on one thing going on. So I agree. Yeah.
So, in a sense, like, knowing like kind of that definition, would you consider like esports as like a sport, like a legitimate sport, or is athletes as like, I mean, is gamers as like professional athletes?
I think esports is a legitimate sport because it takes just as much effort as regular sports. I mean, it may not look like it just looks like a bunch of people playing games, but there's a lot behind what actually goes on.
I feel like it's a sport because you need as much skill as you would need in an actual sport to do esports.
And my opinion would be because I mean they're getting as much as paid as other pro people like soccer, baseball as they would even when gaming. So I feel like they're getting paid the same amount. So I feel like that means it qualifies to be a sport.
I think it's more of a competitional value between a group of two people or even more. So I think it's pretty much evened out in esports. It's a competition with wit and less physically.
So that brings me to my second question. Will you consider esports as a legitimate sport and like the players as like professional athletes?
Of course, they perform at a very high level and it requires more mental value than physical value.
So what if someone were to like argue with you that like football, baseball, they all like require the more physical aspect, and in that sense, people don't consider esports as a real sport?
See, that's the thing, sort of traditional quotation mark sports sort of rely on more of the physical ability, while esports more or less rely on the mental ability, and that in the end of the day, the sport is just the challenge of one's core, either mentally or physically. It's still a sport and it's still challenging for actual professional players of that sport.
Well, competitive. And it's just competitiveness.
So, and for you?
Challenging.
And will you consider esports like a real sport?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Well, because you have people engaging in like matches against each other, and then it becomes competitive. And it's just like any other sports. You have to play against each other for victory.
And well, do you think it's a real sport? No one.
Real sport. I think real sport is like more adventurous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you don't think it's a real sport?
Oh, you mean the e-sport?
Yes.
No, not really. Because like it's more virtuous.
Because like back to you, like if you were to compare like esports, like for example like League of Legends or PUBG, and compare that to like basketball, or football, would you still consider it like a sport?
I mean, I still consider it a sport. I think most people would consider it a sport because they're too used to seeing sports as a physical thing, where there are physical contact involved. You have an object that you kind of pass around, while esports is more virtual, but then the aspects of it being a competitive thing is still there, and I think that's what makes a sport.
How would you define a sport, like the word sport?
To me, I would have to go with a more traditional view on it. I think it has to be competitive, something that's competitive, but I do think it has to involve a certain level of physical activity. Yeah, it has to involve a certain level of physical activity.
So, we consider professional gamers as like athletes, and then esports as a sport, like a real sport.
I would have to say no. I think it's a great hobby, but I don't think it's a sport. No.
Like, in what way don't you see it as a sport?
Um, I think that a sport involves a high level of physical activity, and I think that's one of the reasons why, when you think of a sport, you think of people going outside, running, playing, just exercising. I don't think gaming incorporates that, so I can't say it's a sport. I would have to put it in a great hobby category, but I can't say it's a sport now.
A sport is, well, it is a competition. You know, like it's one where you are competing with someone else to achieve a result, meaning you win. You know.
So, like, knowing that definition, would you consider esports as like a legitimate sport, and as it's like gamers as professional athletes?
Well, in that aspect, it's a little weird because like gamers, like they know what they're doing when they're playing. They're playing against obviously their rivals in the game, and they have to know what they're doing. Like they're crazy good gamers that just like like one shot you across the stage, and like they know they know the weapons they use in it. They know like the distance that like they'll be seen. Like they have crazy good instincts, and it's weird, because in regular sports, like it said that like it's incredible feats, like
The physical stuff.
yeah, that make those players valuable.
If I had to ask you guys, how much do you think an average gamer like makes yearly?
I couldn't guess.
I mean, just like like an estimate, like
I don't know, maybe depends if they stream or not. 70 grand.
100 grand.
I have no idea. About 75 grand.
I feel like their the tournament winnings and Twitch, yeah, probably like around, say like 30 grand.
Yeah, the average is actually around like 75 to like 80, because they have like the tournament winnings, they got streams, subscribers, and then they pay like a salary. So like, would you guys ever consider going pro if you had the chance, like knowing like that amount of money that as a career is there for you?
Well, I play games for fun, so I can't say I would go pro because there's a lot of stress involved trying to play professionally versus playing for fun like everybody else does.
Okay.
Yes, I would definitely go pro because of all the money that's involved. But other than that, yeah, I'll go pro.
I mean, if I was like flat out of a job as like my last resort, I'm pretty good at video games, yeah. So I'd probably have to probably be pro.
I mean, yeah, if I'm able to, I'll definitely do it. What was the question?
If you were given a chance, would you go professional with a game, like get paid to play games?
Yeah, I might be going.
That's a very hard question. I don't really know exactly. I wish I could.
It's like
probably
a rough estimate.
About like 1,000 a year.
No, they actually make around like 60 to like 70,000 a year, because most gamers nowadays they stream on Twitch, and they get the subscribers there, and then they get paid a salary and the tournament money. So like they do get paid a lot. Knowing like all like how much they do get paid, would you consider going pro if you had the chance?
I've actually started playing Overwatch under my own Boston team, so I actually do consider wanting to go pro very, very soon.
I mean, I've heard of competitions where like these guys win like 50,000 or some shit. I'm not sure.
Gamers usually make around 70 to like 75,000 a year. They stream on Twitch, they get like sponsors, they win prize money, and like I guess knowing that, will you consider going pro and becoming like a professional gamer?
I'm not that good.
No, but if you had the chance, would you want to like follow that career?
Unfortunately, like I don't think so, because it takes a long time playing one specific game. Like, these guys, they spend like hours in their basement just just trying to get that good. And like I said, if you don't have those skills, then you're not exactly desirable.
After asking people about the world of esports, I'm surprised of how many people actually consider it a real sport. Initially, I didn't think people would consider esports a real sport because it lacks the physical aspects of other sports. I'm just surprised that people consider the mental ability of players to be enough to consider a real sport. Thanks for listening to our show about esports, and I hope you tune into our next show.